There you are.
Nice. Hey.
Hi. Oh, just like old times. Hello, everybody. My name is Sir Crest. I am joined today by Josh from Gaming Faster Than Light. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm fabulous.
You're
Today
looking fabulous.
Well, we look the same, so I guess you're fabulous as well. Today we're going to be taking perhaps a more detailed look at the Interstellar Marines co-op mission, the Neurogen incident. So this is the first co-op that has been introduced to Interstellar Marines, the game that has been seemingly in perpetual early access, in a way. And so a week ago, week and a half, we all played together, four people, through the co-op mission. We had a great time. We also had a lot of problems, but we also had a lot of thoughts on the game.
Oh,
so I thought it'd be a good idea to join Josh and talk about our experiences after we've had time to think about it.
Yes.
And play their games and what stuck with us, in a way. So right before we recorded, I just decided I'm going to load up single player. I was going to record for about 15 minutes and talk over it. And then I noticed that the game is completely different when you don't have anyone else with you. It is a completely different experience in single player. And you felt the same, right?
Well, I only played it for a short while because you directly messaged me and said, hang on, this game isn't as hilariously rubbish as we thought it was. And yeah, it's simply a matter of taking the time and space without any other people shouting in your ear going, there's a robot, to take in the atmosphere.
Right. And the other thing is, these audio logs, if someone else is talking while you're playing, you have no idea what they mean. And I mean, this is good and bad aspect. I'm someone who loves minimalistic storytelling. I love that stuff. Unfortunately, in this game, though, co-op feels slapped on due to the fact that you have no idea what the story is if you're playing with more than one person. Or rather, if more than one person is playing. So if I played through this in single player, I would probably know what the story is. But I won't because I've already... because instantly it feels like the game is like really creepy in a way. And I'm, as many of my viewers know, I get scared really easily.
Yeah, me too.
So,
I can't deal with it.
So when I was playing, I noticed some incredible levels of detail in the audio. Now you have this kind of, there's like creaking in the ship, I think I heard, but just general atmosphere. I heard voices that I think represents, I guess we're throwing out spoilers here, but kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Because this is kind of a simulation, perhaps it's coming from outside of your consciousness, outside in the real world, perhaps. There's a lot of things that you could attribute it to. What I do know is that it definitely added a significant level of creepiness to the experience that was not present even now. I do not feel scared right now.
No, it's a single player thing, and this is something I wanted to come back to that you were mentioning earlier. It was I don't know if marketed is the right word, but it was certainly posted on Steam and everything as a co-op experience. And whoa, okay, God, it's not that. It's something you have to be able to listen to the background noise, the things going on, to actually be able to take it all in. Like I said, it's mostly atmosphere that does all the hard work in this game, and you can't do that with another person.
Right. And again, there is, effectively speaking, due to the fact that someone else is playing, you're focused on another person in the game. You're talking to someone else. Basically, there is no story if you're playing co-op. It just does not... It effectively does not exist because it is so difficult to focus on the story because it's through these very subtle elements like the audio logs, which you cannot hear because you have your sound down enough to listen to another player. So it becomes a shooting game rather than a story game when you're moving to co-op.
Yeah. And that's why I think we didn't think it was as good while we were playing it as co-op, because there aren't that many things to shoot. There's not all that much to look at. And we were joking around with each other, and that's what you do when you play a co-op game.
That's what they're for.
Yeah. So really, this is not something you should play with other people.
If you want the most impactful experience.
Unless you're playing
if you're just looking
the
for
multiplayer. Because
exactly, yeah.
you can play that kind of on your own without talking to each other, and still soak up the atmosphere and the very clever lighting mechanics, which I think are very essential to this game. But
the game does look really clean in a good way. It's nice that, I mean, I suppose it's some sort of simulation, but it does look really solid, and it looks sterile because of its cleanliness. I don't know if that's supposed to be because it's, you know, some sort of simulation or whatnot, but it does feel really good. I mean, the lighting system in the game is very solid. I think I cannot wait until, again, I repeated this in our co-op back when we played, but global illumination would be incredible, because if you could shine your flashlight into a hallway and see the hallway light up instead of just being the direct lighting, again, that would just, you know, add a huge level of immersion. Now, okay, what the hell was I talking about?
Did I sidetrack you? Shooting robots sidetrack you? Oh,
I think you were talking about the look of the game, and then I shifted over.
Yeah. The game looks great, but we were on the topic of the actual multiplayer versus single player thing. Still, I think.
I haven't played that much multiplayer. I think I played it a couple times, and I remember last time we played, we were talking about there's actually a strategy involved with, do I want to be seen but also see other players, or do I want to sit in the dark with maybe just a laser pointer?
Yeah, that's a really, really good use of lighting in the multiplayer. In the single player, it doesn't come across as much because the AI is not smart. And yeah, I think it's something that's entirely separate between the two, the campaign and then the online competitive multiplayer. It's two separate experiences, and one should definitely try out playing it with a team and on your own, because, you know, competitive stuff is fun with teams, but also the focus then becomes on the actual competition instead of this very finely crafted, like I said, the lighting system. And then we moved on. Then we moved on to the graphics.
I'm sorry, I'm a graphics person. I just want to point out one little thing now that we're down here, is that if somehow I balance the audio correctly, listeners or viewers, this isn't an audio podcast, but viewers may be able to notice that you hear certain sounds throughout the room. Robots, growling, that type of thing. Throughout the co-op experience, there are many cases where you only know there's someone here because they make some sort of sound, even though it doesn't necessarily make logical sense. I mean, why would it do it? It still adds the atmosphere of it. So as you're going throughout the world, you hear things. In the case of this, basically you're only hearing robots just going, you know, like some sort of transformer. And if this was the difference between single player and co-op, again, is in single player, I'm thinking, oh my god, it's a robot. In co-op, I'm thinking, yes, something to shoot. That's how different the experience is. In co-op, it's boring unless you have something to shoot. In single player, though, all I'm thinking is, I hope I don't come into contact with a robot.
Yep.
And I did talk to Thordis. I can't remember her last name. My contact at 0 Point Software, and I asked her a couple questions, and she did confirm that the difficulty I think she specifically said the difficulty scales with the number of players. I don't know if it scales the number of robots. I would absolutely hope it does, even though it didn't necessarily feel that way when we played. I played with 2 people, and it still felt like there were the same amount of robots as when we played with 4.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's a problem.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, it is. It's this is like very closely linked with what we were saying before. If you're talking to other people over Skype or whatever, you're not thinking about the story or the atmosphere. You're thinking about how you're going to
screw up
cool
your
things.
friends.
Yeah, shoot them in the head. Like,
yeah.
oh, actually, I won't shoot you because it kills my frame rate.
Oh, right. That's another issue. When somebody's dead in the map, frame rate drops to like 15. And here's another example. I have no idea what this audio log is saying because I'm speaking or he's speaking. It's very difficult to follow what's going on. It's a matter of looking at the letters on screen, going over there and pushing the button, and that's what the experience is like in co-op. The story basically vaporizes the moment you have more than yourself playing. That's the best way to put it. A lot of the storytelling is through atmosphere or audio log. And in any game, those 2 facets are gone the moment you have co-op.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
need to have other, like in the case of, I don't know, let's say Left 4 Dead. Probably one of the most famous. Exactly, environmental storytelling.
I could see where you were going with that one.
You learn about how the story is playing out based upon the environment. Just to reiterate that specific aspect. But in this, you have to listen to things to know what the story is. All we know is we're walking around pushing buttons. And that's not oversimplifying it. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, pretty much. And also you have to listen to know what is actually going on around you, like the footsteps of the robots, the footsteps of your teammates, environmental cues like doors opening, things like that.
Because the robots can open doors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but if you think about the co-op story in Portal 2, there were subtle cues in like the environment where you were going, things that GLaDOS was telling you. There was very little voiceover in that co-op multiplayer because you had to time it perfectly. I remember listening to the devlog, like inside of the game or somewhere. They said everyone's talking all the time, so you have literally 10 seconds to tell them what they're up to, and then their attention span is gone.
Right.
So it either has to be in the environment or in this like short span between them arriving in the level and then losing interest. So I mean, this is a good game, but
it's worth mentioning that I don't know what I'm doing right now because I'm talking to someone right now. I mean, granted, I am thinking about how best to portray my points, but I mean, I don't know what's happening right now. All I know is from memory is that we have to walk up to one of these doors and open it up.
Yeah, all I'm seeing is like the little diamonds for all the different audio.
Yeah, the diamonds that are on everything, even if they don't work. That is one of the more aggravating aspects of this. You think you can walk up to something and use it, but it doesn't matter.
Door opening simulator, 2014.
Yep. So we're actually about 15 minutes.
Yep.
What else? Other aspects do you want to talk about?
I
feel like we covered it pretty well.
Yeah. Should we wrap up here then?
Yeah, I guess wrap up with I don't know what it needs to improve on. Maybe. I think we.
Yeah, the good bits versus bad bits versus what would be nice.
All right. So then, what this game, as we've talked about, is missing is that if the primary focus is on co-op, you need to have storytelling that adapts to the way in which people play. The way in which people play co-op isn't just having another player on screen. It's talking to them. It's interacting with them. It's screwing with them. Because that's what happens in co-op games. So you need to adapt the storytelling for that to happen. We talked about Left 4 Dead and the way in which a lot of the storytelling is done through the environment rather than voiceovers, because voiceovers don't matter when everyone is talking. What's probably also important is building the suspense not entirely through audio, because in playing this right now, I have my game volume down because obviously I want to hear what Josh has to say.
Thank you.
But that completely negates a lot of the tension, because the moment I go back into single player and turn up my volume to hear the game perfectly again, I'm going to be freaked out again. So nothing's changed. The only difference is Josh is here.
Yeah.
It's the same exact system setup.
And I think it's important to note that the atmosphere is really good when you're playing, even in multiplayer, but not talking to people, obviously.
Because it's still, the enemies are just other players rather than who you're with.
Yeah. And there are important multiplayer-based decisions to make in that, and there are some good audio cues while you're playing with the volume up by yourself.
I hear this guy.
And that is... Yeah, I hear him too. I'm looking for him. And that is good. That's a really good sign. But marketing it as a co-op experience isn't... When it's ideal for just single player and not really set up for multiplayer is not the best idea. Because then people are going to be like us and say, "Oh, it's not for multiplayer." Duh.
So I guess where this lands is that Zero Point Software makes a really pretty game. It makes a game that has great atmosphere, and I think they make, this is a really hard to define point. The game feels really PC-like, so it controls fluidly on a mouse. You feel like you're not playing a bad port. Like, it feels like a proper PC game. The interface is really good.
Yeah.
And the overall base, the platform that is Interstellar Marines, I'm not talking about the engine, I'm talking about just the aspects that build up to a good shooter, I feel like are there. I think obviously netcode and hit detection need some tuning. Obviously I'm simplifying that a lot, but obviously that needs a little bit of tuning. That will happen with time and optimizations and such. But they have a really good base. One thing I noticed, the smallest details they have down. I was telling Josh this when I first started playing a little bit of the single player, is that your character actually breathes. You can hear him breathing, and his breathing will speed up and slow down depending on how much he runs or if he was attacked or something. And his gun will go up and down with his breath, and it will match his breath. Tiny details like that. This is an early access game. It has like subtle details like that that would be incredible for a really good single player experience. So I think for Zero Point, like, to me, this is a single player campaign. This does not work as co-op. Focus on... What am I trying to say here? If this is the kind of single player experience you're trying to make in the future, great. Obviously, flesh out a little bit so it's not just pushing buttons. Like, make it, I don't know, having to escape to a spaceship or something, and there's, you know, sets of the systems are going offline or something like that. Just don't make it more robots. But for the co-op experience, that definitely has to be different. That is not going to work if you just put multiple people in a single player experience. The game, the base, the platform that is Interstellar Marines is really well developed for being good for multiplayer and good for single player, but co-op is a different beast altogether. So I would hope that in time they would develop or look at other examples of good co-op games for how to structure the story and the plot. If you're looking for a great multiplayer game, at least take a look at this. The multiplayer is quite good. Single player, there really is nothing here still. Even though there is a good single player experience compared to co-op, it's still like 40 minutes of a single mission. that feels like it has
empty.
really no significance. Exactly. If you're looking for a co-op experience, forget it. It's it is not good co-op. I mean, if people don't buy a game for one purpose, but if for some reason you were looking at this game, it's like, oh, I hear it has co-op, just hold off. Get Left 4 Dead for $2 or something when it's on sale. This is a game that right now, if you're looking for what feels like a modern tactical multiplayer FPS, that's great. But even still, the single player experience simply is, it's some alpha.
I don't know how to open the door. Yeah, I entirely agree. Just two things before we go. Land sharks. I hear mutant sharks are a thing in this game. Not yet, though, which is disappointing, to say the least.
Yeah.
And as you were mentioning earlier, the shooting is really solid, but there's only 2 guns, so...
That is true.
But yeah, shooting feels good. And yeah, apart from that, that kind of entirely tangential... Tangential? Wait, is that the way to say? You know what I'm trying to say.
That tangent.
That one.
Simplify it. Now, how do we get out of here?
I have been looking for buttons to press. I have literally no clue. Is this the one where we have to go up a billion stairs for hours?
No, that's a while from now. We just have to get through that side door that we looked at before.
Okay. Awesome.
I'll try this one again.
I think we have to turn the power on before we get to this door.
I thought we did that.
Apparently not.
Let's go downstairs.
Oh man.
Wait, that one's on. Let's go on the other side.
I guess thank you everyone for watching and checking out there will be links in the description to Crest's channel. You do all sorts of video game content, don't you?
I'd like to think so.
He's a whole variety goodie bag of
the whole shebang
of video game content, and also links to the game if you're interested in checking it out.
Yeah, thanks to 0 Point Software for providing a copy of the game to look at, and they're cool people, just very ambitious.
Very, very.
All right, that's all from me.
And me.
And thank you very much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to either of us if you're interested in more analysis of games. Oh, here we go. This one's open now.
Yay!
What happened?
Video games, I think. Oh, no, I think the robot opened it for us.
These lights are on, though.
He got bored.
And that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.
Bye.